All right, ninth grade, happy Tuesday. So today's going to look a little bit different for the most part because while I want you to go ahead and start working on stuff for today, it is not due until tomorrow on Wednesday until midnight. However, that doesn't mean that you should wait until tomorrow to do everything. I would suggest doing half of it tonight and half of it tomorrow, or you could do it all today if you wanted to and then polish it up tomorrow. But what I don't recommend and what I don't want any of you doing actually is to wait until Wednesday to do all of this because it's quite a lot. And I just want to make sure that you actually turn in decent stuff and you don't turn in garbage work, as I explain on Grade Link on your teacher page. So let's go have a look at that because there's going to be a lot of explaining for what I actually want you to do today. And then we will go from there. So let's hop on over to Grade Link and see what we got going on there. Okay, so this is finally all finished. So I just basically explain right here what you're going to be doing, but notice how this is for Tuesday and Wednesday, meaning that all of this is going to be due on Wednesday. So I've linked the video to right here. It will be linked to right here once this is done. And then first what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the Google document that I want you all to look at for today. So we're just going to open this in a new tab, and then I'm going to hop over there and show you guys what it's going to look like. So when you get here, this is what it's going to look like. Now, you will only have access to this to just look at and view. You won't have access to edit, which means you can't just go clicking in here and just write whatever you want to. What you will have to do is you are going to make your own copy of this. And so this is the part of the video where if you want to pause it right here, and then move forward later once I start explaining details and stuff, you can find a point to pause it and then go back and manipulate the video however it's going to work for you. But basically, just follow along with me what I'm doing right here. So if we go to File, and then you're going to go to File, and you're going to click Make a Copy. Okay. And once you do that, that's going to bring this thing up. So go to File and then Make a Copy, and then you will erase this. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to write your last name. So let's say if Chris was doing this, for example, he would write Crow, and then you put a comma there, and he would put Act 4. Okay, that's all you need to do. Your last name, then Act 4. Just so I know for myself, I'm going to say Marsh example Act 4. Okay, so you put your last name, whether that's Crow, Buttram, Henderson, Goins, Morrison, or Green. That's all of you. So you just put that right there. Okay. And then we go from there. All right. So then you would basically click OK. And then that will bring you a new document that you are free to, type and manipulate and do whatever you're supposed to do with it. Now, as you can see, you've got different columns here and you've got 6 that you need to fill in. So what you're going to be doing here is the first thing that you're going to do, and I want you to do these things in order. So the first thing that you're going to do is you are going to reread the particular scene that is assigned right here. So again, these scenes are very short. I mean, scene 3 is a little bit longer because there's a lot going on in it. But I really want you to just pay attention to just Brutus and the ghost in that scene. So the beginning of that, there's a lot of important stuff there, but you don't really have to pay too close attention. But I do want you to read the whole thing with special regard to the ending of that scene. Now, you guys have already read through these last week, but again, just trying to give you guys enough to where you really understand this stuff without me being there to teach it to you physically and like us act it out in class and go through things and really discuss stuff. I think this is the best way for you to still be able to learn stuff on your own. So basically what you're going to do is you will reread the scene. After you reread the scene, you will answer these 2 things. Note anything that you don't understand about the scene, and you can write that here. These can be you can put bullets in here. If you go up to here and click, you can write, if you have a question who in the world is Lepidus? You can write that right there. If you don't know who he is and you just don't understand why is he important, who is he? We'll discuss that later. We can talk about that in a conference call later. So you can put questions there that you may not know. You may not know maybe it's why are these 3 so important? Okay, now you should remember that from the second triumvirate article you read on Active Learn, but again, that was last week, so I don't know if you still remember that. I hope you do. But you can post questions here. You can also put things that you don't understand, like, you know, why are they, or for some example, you could write something to the degree of, I don't understand why they're choosing who lives and who dies. Why are they doing that? You can put questions here if you want. You don't have to do the bulleted list, but that's something you could do if you wanted to. So there is all of that. I shouldn't have erased that. Oh dear, what's happening here? Technological difficulties. So anyway, so you can do that if you want to, but it is up to you how you do that. I just want something in that box because I'm sure there's some part of the thing that you don't understand. You don't have to phrase it in a question, but you can, just write notes, anything you want to. And again, it doesn't have to be in the bullets because it kind of looks kind of weird like that. But it's up to you how you want to do that. You can space it out like that. It doesn't matter. So what you still don't understand about the scene and then what you have questions about. And then you're actually, after you do that, you will then move into the next column, which is the scene viewing. And so if you go back to GradeLink and look on the teacher page, I have posted links to these particular scenes from different versions and different adaptations and productions of the play. So what you're going to do is you will click on that link, and then I want you to focus on specific characters within those scenes. So for the first scene, you're going to be looking at Antony and what it is about Antony within that scene that you are noticing about him. Because when it comes to plays, the best way to understand plays is to understand where the characters are coming from and who the characters actually are. Because plays are character driven. We don't have all the narrative and, all the narration and, saying that, oh, he walks this way and he walks that way. No, we have to see it. And when we only have literature, it's easier for us, and we have clips, we need to follow what the characters are doing and how they're acting and how they're reacting, how the actor is actually presenting the character. You don't really have to, talk about whether you think it's an accurate portrayal because that's more of a thing we do in a class discussion. But basically what you're going to be doing with these characters is just looking at what you notice about them. What is their character like? How are they acting in this scene? What are they doing? So for Antony, in this particular scene, you could write something about like, he's being really full of himself, okay? Because, well, he is. And so he's being really full of himself, and there's some other things that he's doing. How does he treat Lepidus? How does he treat Octavian? How does he have a different approach to dealing with those characters? Those are things that you can write about. But again, you can keep it short just so long as they're full sentences. And then after you look at the character, and after you look at that particular scene, any new understanding that you have will be written about here. Now, this is the part where you're really going to need to write a little bit more. I'd say about, 3 to 4 sentences here. I'll go ahead and mark that on this one. This is the actual document. So I'd say about 3 to 4 sentences of new understanding. And that can be like a kind of similar to what you do in a reading card, but it doesn't have to be a whole lot. It definitely doesn't have to be in the scope of a reading card, but, just answer the question after rereading it and watching a performance, take both of those things and then say, what do you understand better about the scene now? Is there something about these characters that makes more sense? Does the scene make more sense? Do you kind of get what's going on? If you notice any bigger ideas that are happening in the scene, this is where you can, express that opinion. And you're going to do that for all of these, okay? So I'm going to leave that there just so you kind of have an idea of what's going on. And then let's go back to GradeLink to show you one more thing, and then we'll go from there. All right, so let me enter my password back in because this keeps locking me out. All right, so when you get to the actual viewing of the scenes, all you'll have to do is click on this link and that'll take you to YouTube. Now, this first one, you will need to click on it, and then you're actually going to have to take the little thing and actually move it to the 1 hour, 18 minute, and 32 second mark, and just watch to the 1 hour, 20 minute, 41 second mark. So just pay attention to that as you're going through it. It's pretty obvious where the scene ends, but getting to where it starts is a little bit interesting. Now, in this particular scene, in this particular video, it actually shows the Roman citizens destroying Rome after Antony has given his big funeral monologue and people start going insane and crazy. It's like, death to the senators and all of this stuff. But they actually take torches and start burning down Rome and then start, saying that, well, I'm going to go attack Cassius. I'm going to go attack Brutus. This is actually where the second triumvirate gets their army from. So that's not really something we typically see in the play. It's kind of implied that the Roman citizens and the other soldiers kind of come together to stage this whole civil war that happens. But I want you to see that because it gives some really good context into going into the scene. I'll go ahead and tell you the way that they have staged this and shot it's a little bit weird because well, you can just see it, but basically they're all in like a massage parlor sauna type thing, and Antony and Octavian are getting massages, and Lepidus is just sitting there like, "What are y'all doing? Don't we have a war to fight? Like, what's going on here?" So it's kind of weird, kind of interesting take on it. I don't know where they got that idea from, but that's happening. So just know that's there. And actually, Charlton Heston is Mark Antony. Ask your parents who Charlton Heston is, and they'll be able to fill you in on that. So number 3, this should actually be number 4 here, but anyway, number 3, the second scene after that is that you're going to view Cassius and Brutus's petty squabble, but pay attention to this right here because after you click on this one, it's going to take you to Royal Shakespeare Company's website, and from here you will actually have to scroll down and you'll want to click on this play the scene in performance. And once you do that, that'll bring up this. It was just easier to link it this way. And then you can watch the scene right here. So it'll start playing right there, and you can just watch it from there. And then on the third one, I think you can just go straight to it. Yes. So the third one, all I have to do is just click on this link, and that'll take you to the film version that we have been watching in class that we no longer get to watch anymore. I'm going to try to find a way to where you guys can still watch that, but this is just the part of the scene in which it has Caesar's ghost comes to visit Brutus. So I actually got a question from one of you. I'm not really understanding what the question was asking you on Actively Learn, but this scene has been interpreted in a variety of ways in which some people think that the ghost, or some scholars think that the ghost may not actually be there, and Brutus is hallucinating the ghost out of his guilt and out of his remorse for Caesar. He even has a line where he basically says that I didn't kill you with 100% certainty. I didn't do that. I wasn't even 50% certain. I didn't even have half a will to do this. And so it may be those kind of thoughts and this uncertainty has actually brought this hallucination out, or maybe the ghost is real and Caesar's spirit is actually haunting him. Depending on how you interpret that, kind of colors how you see the rest of the play. But I don't think there's a set way of interpreting it. Shakespeare often did stuff like that to just really confuse us because there are lines throughout the scene that could say, "Ooh, the ghost is real," or "Ooh, no, he's definitely hallucinating this ghost." I tend to err on the side that the ghost is more real, although I do think the hallucination angle makes Brutus far more fascinating, but it's up to you how you want to see that. So you just justify it on your own and go from there, which you guys already did in the Actively Learn article. So I'll be interested to hear what those are later. But other than that, if you guys have any questions, I know this is quite a lot of stuff to get through, but you do have 2 days to do it. But first, just make sure in that first column that you actually reread the article or reread the scene first, then watch the film version, and then do your new understanding stuff and make sure you fill in each thing as you go through, taking special notice of those characters along the way. So other than that, that's all you have for today and tomorrow. So just make sure that you get all of that stuff done. And then if you have any questions or if things don't seem to work, or if you need help following along with anything, just let me know. And I will be glad to jump in and help you as I can through a phone in whatever way I can. So I'll leave you guys at that. So have fun reading those 3 scenes again, and let's get into Act 4.